Have you ever caught yourself bending over backward just to make others happy? Only to feel like you're losing yourself in the process? What if I told you that you don't need to change for anyone's approval? How much of your happiness have you sacrificed for others? Ever felt like you're constantly carrying the weight of others' expectations? It seems like no matter where you go, there are people ready to pile on requests, demands, and expectations. Whether it's family, friends, or even strangers, they all seem to drain your most valuable resources: your time, energy, and inner peace. Have you ever found yourself as the go-to person, the one everyone depends on, while you silently sink beneath the weight of it all? If you're nodding in agreement, then this video is just for you. Today, we're exploring 5 crucial things you must never allow others to take from you, and why protecting these aspects of your life is vital for your happiness and peace of mind. We're not just talking about physical drains here. These are emotional, mental, and spiritual drains that leave you feeling empty and exhausted. Let's face it, life is full of moments when we feel compelled to help others, often at the cost of our own well-being. But here's the harsh truth: you were not put on this earth to live in a constant state of sacrifice, endlessly chasing goals, or bearing the burdens of others. This is your life, and you deserve to enjoy the peace, freedom, and fulfillment that comes from your own efforts. So, stick with us. What you're about to hear might just be the reminder you didn't even know you needed. Let's dive into the first crucial thing: never take on responsibilities that aren't yours. As we journey through life, we're often faced with situations where the weight of responsibility is placed on our shoulders. It might start off small, perhaps a request from a family member or a friend who needs a little help. But soon, what was supposed to be a small favor turns into something much larger. Before you know it, you're no longer just offering a helping hand, you're carrying the entire load. The more you give, the heavier it becomes, and the harder it is to let go. But here's a truth that resonates deeply within Stoic philosophy: even the strongest rope will snap if it's pulled too tightly for too long. Have you ever felt like that rope, stretched beyond your limits by obligations that were never truly yours to bear? I've been there, and it's a tough place to be. Let me share a story with you to help make this clearer. I remember a time when a relative asked for my help organizing a surprise birthday party for their child. Initially, I agreed to a small role, maybe picking out a gift or suggesting a theme. But before long, the requests kept piling up. I found myself in charge of everything: booking the venue, planning the food, creating the guest list, and coordinating every little detail. My relative, meanwhile, contributed almost nothing, continually saying, "You're so much better at this than I am." As the party date drew closer, I felt more and more drained and overwhelmed. And when the event was a success, they took all the credit. When I tried to explain how exhausted I felt, they dismissed my feelings, calling me overly sensitive and saying, "It's just one day." That was the turning point for me. I learned an invaluable lesson: helping others should never come at the expense of your own well-being. There is a fine line between being supportive and sacrificing your peace, and in that moment, I had crossed that line. This is where Stoicism can teach us a vital lesson. True peace is not found in constantly trying to please others or bear their burdens. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us, you have power over your mind, not over outside events. Once I internalized this truth, I realized that saying no wasn't an act of selfishness, it was an act of self-preservation. I had the power to decide where my time, energy, and attention when it was time to protect my boundaries. So, next time you're asked to take on something that isn't your responsibility, ask yourself, does this truly belong to me? If it doesn't, then have the courage to say no. Every time you turn down an unreasonable request, you're choosing your own peace. You're protecting your priorities, your mental health, and your time. Remember, boundaries are not walls, they are shields that protect your inner tranquility and well-being. Setting clear boundaries is crucial in reclaiming your energy and protecting your soul. They allow you to live a life that aligns with your values, not with the values or demands imposed on you by others. Now, let's talk about something else people often try to take from us: our money and financial stability. In the quiet moments of our lives, it's easy to feel at peace. But then, just like clockwork, someone asks for a financial favor. At first, it may seem harmless, but over time, you may find yourself giving away more than you can afford emotionally and financially. Have you ever loaned money or given resources that you later regretted? I know I have. It's easy to let others take advantage of your good nature. But if you're not careful, you'll find your financial peace slipping away. Stay tuned, because in the next part of this video, we'll explore how you can protect your financial stability and make sure others don't drain your resources. This lesson could be the most important one yet. Imagine waking up to a calm and peaceful morning. The sun is gently streaming through your window, warming the room, and you're holding a cup of coffee in your hands. For once, you feel a sense of stillness. It's a moment of tranquility. But then, the phone rings. A familiar voice greets you. It could be a child, a relative, or an old friend. Instead of the comforting chat you were expecting, they urgently ask for a loan. Just this once, they say. But you and I both know how that goes. Just this once has a way of becoming a recurring request. And just like that, the peace you had is chipped away. Bit by bit. This is exactly what my friend David has experienced. He was always the go-to person whenever anyone needed financial help. One day, an old friend called him, explaining that they were in a financial emergency. Out of kindness, David lent the money, but, of course, the requests didn't stop there. First, it was for a car repair. Then, it was for paying a bill. Over time, David found himself digging deeper into his own finances. It wasn't just the money that he was losing, it was his peace of mind. Every phone call he received brought dread and anxiety as he anticipated yet another request. What made it worse was that his friend never even considered repaying the loan. No gratitude, no acknowledgement for his support. Does this sound familiar? I'm sure many of us have been in a similar situation. The truth is that your money is the direct result of your hard work, your time, and the sacrifices you've made to create your own stability. You are not a bank, nor are you an endless well that people can draw from without considering the toll it takes on you. It's vital to remember that true happiness does not arise from constantly pleasing others or acting as their financial cushion. Instead, happiness comes from living in accordance with your values, preserving your peace, and protecting what you've worked so hard to build. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you give without consideration, when you hand over your hard-earned money without boundaries, you do not just lose wealth, you lose peace. Every time you say yes to a request that jeopardizes your financial stability, you rob yourself of your mental clarity and tranquility. So, what does it mean to protect your financial well-being? It begins with setting clear boundaries around your resources. Not every request for money is your responsibility. And not every person who asks for help will value what you give. If you suspect that a loan will be misused, or worse, never repaid, you must have the courage to say no. Saying no is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-preservation. It ensures that your relationships remain intact, free of unnecessary strain. Ask yourself this: if tomorrow you faced an emergency or an unexpected crisis, who would step up to support you? The truth is that true financial stability does not come from constantly giving to others. It comes from standing firm in your own security, knowing that your peace and future are protected. When you maintain strong financial boundaries, you not only safeguard your peace of mind, but you also give yourself the space to enjoy the fruits of your hard work without the fear of depletion. Remember, money is not an endless resource to be drained by the needs of others. It is a tool, one that allows you to build a life aligned with your purpose and your values. By protecting your financial stability, you are affirming that your peace and your future are worth preserving. Above all, you deserve to live a life that reflects the hard-earned freedom you've created. Now, don't let yourself be dragged into family conflicts. For many of us, family is a source of comfort, a foundation of support, where we expect to find refuge from the chaos of the world. But ironically, family can sometimes become the very source of tension and turmoil. The greatest disservice they can do to you is pulling you into a conflict you never asked for, a battle that isn't yours to fight. Picture this. You're enjoying a quiet morning, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the room, a good book in hand, lost in the peace of solitude. But then, your phone rings. A familiar voice on the other end urgently recounts a disagreement with another family member. Tom's wrong, they say. He never listens to reason. Followed by the all too familiar request: you need to talk to him. In that moment, your serenity is shattered, and you find yourself dragged into a conflict you didn't start. I've experienced this firsthand. Once, my uncle called me, asking me to mediate a property dispute between him and another uncle. Though I had no involvement in the situation, I felt compelled to step in, thinking it was my responsibility to resolve the issue. But here's the thing: family conflicts are emotionally draining. It's easy to get pulled in, but sometimes, the best thing you can do is stay out of it. You don't need to carry the weight of other people's problems. You have your own life to live, and you deserve to keep your peace intact. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a family conflict, trying to play the mediator, only to end up feeling more disconnected and drained than before? It's a scenario many of us have faced. And let's be honest, it rarely brings the peace or resolution we hope for. Instead, it often leads to frustration, misunderstandings, and, more often than not, a sense of emotional exhaustion. Let me share a personal story. I was once thrust into the center of a family dispute, thinking I could help mediate and restore harmony. However, what followed was far from a resolution. Neither side was satisfied with my efforts. One accused me of favoritism, while the other claimed I wasn't forceful enough. In the end, the conflict remained unresolved, but I was left with a fractured peace of mind and a growing sense of distance from both sides. Have you ever found yourself in a similar position? Stepping into family disputes, thinking you can fix everything, often does more harm than good. I learned this lesson the hard way. Family conflicts rarely result in harmony. Instead, you can end up being the target of criticism from both sides. No matter how hard you try to mediate, Stoic philosophy teaches us a powerful lesson about this. There's no virtue in entangling ourselves in matters beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You don't have to have an opinion on every event, and you don't have to carry every burden." This is particularly true when it comes to family disagreements. The key to preserving your peace, then, is setting clear boundaries. It's not always easy, especially when family dynamics are involved, but it's necessary for your well-being. Don't be afraid to politely decline participation in conflicts that aren't yours to fix. Remind your family that each person must be accountable for their own actions, and that mediating their disagreements is not your burden to bear. When the pressure mounts, calmly and firmly express your stance. "I respect both of you, but this is not something I should be involved in." And most importantly, ask yourself, am I willing to sacrifice my peace, energy, and precious time to play the referee in a dispute that doesn't concern me? Your time and mental well-being are priceless, and you must protect them. Don't let them be consumed by unnecessary drama and discord. Instead, use that energy to nurture your own peace, whether through quiet reflection, enjoying life's simple pleasures, or spending time with those who truly contribute to your well-being. This is how we protect our souls from the turbulence of unnecessary conflicts and maintain the serenity of both mind and heart. By choosing not to get involved in family drama, we safeguard our own peace, creating space to build a life grounded in the values that matter most to us. Now, let's talk about something just as important. Don't change yourself just to please others. Have you ever been on the receiving end of well-meaning suggestions like, "Why don't you try dressing a bit younger?" Or "You should really learn how to use social media. Everyone's doing it." On the surface, these may seem like innocent comments, but beneath them lies an unspoken demand change to fit someone else's mold. Adjust yourself to meet their expectations. While change itself is not inherently bad, when it's driven solely by the desire to please others, you risk losing the most precious part of yourself, your true essence. Let me share the story of my close friend Linda. Linda is a woman in her middle years. Grounded in her simple, traditional way of life, she takes great pride in the values she's built over a lifetime. But as her daughter began to rise in her career, Linda often heard comments like, "Mom, you need to get with the times and learn to use this app." Or "The way you do things is just so slow." At first, Linda felt the pressure to adapt, thinking it would bring her closer to her daughter. Yet, the more she tried, the more weary she became. She found herself questioning her own worth, wondering if she was somehow inadequate in the eyes of her daughter's more modern world. Slowly, Linda started to lose confidence in her own ways and in the very values she had worked so hard to nurture. Here's the essential truth. Change for the sake of growth and self-improvement is a beautiful thing. But changing solely to meet the expectations of others is a dangerous trap. Your values, your habits, your beliefs, these aren't relics of an outdated past. They are the culmination of your experiences, the wisdom you've gained through the years, and the life you've shaped with your own hands. Stoic philosophy teaches us an important lesson. While we cannot control how others see us, we can control how we see ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." It is not shaped by the opinions of others, but by living in alignment with your own values. So how do you stand firm when others try to push you to change? Start by asking yourself, is this change truly right for me? Will it enrich my life? Or am I simply doing this to satisfy someone else's expectations? If the answer is no, Then have the strength to say no. It's not about rejecting the people you care about. It's about respecting yourself and your own path. Speak with kindness, but do so with the firmness necessary to protect your peace and authenticity. Have you ever felt like you're constantly bending over backwards to please others, only to end up losing yourself in the process? Imagine waking up to a calm, peaceful morning, feeling good about yourself, confident, and at peace with who you are. But then, the world around you demands your energy, your time, and your attention. You're pulled in 1,000 different directions by people who want something from you. And slowly, your peace, your self-worth, and your happiness begin to chip away. The truth is, you don't need to change for anyone's approval. You are enough, just as you are. This is your life, and you are the only one who gets to decide how to live it. Don't let anyone take that away from you. You deserve to live in a way that aligns with who you truly are without sacrificing your peace for the sake of fitting in. Remember this: the people who truly love and care for you will accept you as you are, flaws and all. They won't try to change you. They won't impose their expectations on you, asking you to become someone else. They will value the real you, not some version of you that meets their desires. You don't have to lose yourself to gain anyone's approval. This is your life, and it's time to live it on your own terms. Stand firm in your beliefs and values. When you do this, you preserve your integrity, and that self-respect will become the foundation that helps you navigate through life's challenges. Now let's talk about something that we often overlook: putting other people's happiness above our own. Think back to how many times you've set aside your own needs, desires, and passions just to make someone else happy. How often have you sacrificed your own time, energy, and happiness simply to meet the expectations of others? Whether it's family, friends, or society at large, we've all been in a position where we put others first, often at the cost of our own well-being. We've all heard phrases like, "I'll be so disappointed if you don't do this," or "I really need your help. I'd be so upset if you said no." At first, these words may seem harmless, even flattering, but in reality, they hold a weight that erodes your sense of self and your happiness. They ask you to give up pieces of yourself, to sacrifice your time and peace, without considering the cost to you. Let me share the story of Mark, a man who always put the happiness of others ahead of his own. Mark was the go-to guy whenever anyone needed something. If his younger brother needed help fixing his car or a colleague asked him to pick up the slack on a project, Mark would drop everything. He skipped his favorite gym sessions, missed out on weekends with his friends, things that once brought him joy and balance in life. At first, Mark thought that it was his duty, his responsibility, to make everyone else happy. But over time, he began to realize something important. People had started taking his willingness to help for granted. No one asked if he had time for himself or if he even wanted to help. His generosity was no longer seen as a gift, it became an obligation. Mark didn't just feel drained physically, he felt completely unfulfilled. His life had turned into a series of transactions where everyone took, but no one gave. Happiness is not a currency that you can keep depleting just to please others. When you keep putting everyone else's happiness before your own, they start to expect it. They forget that you, too, need love, care, and time for yourself. Here's the truth: you are not just a supporting character in someone else's story. You are the author of your own life, and it's time to reclaim your role. You are the only one who can define your happiness. Stoic philosophy teaches us that happiness and inner peace are not dependent on external approval or the demands of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "A man is happy when he lives in harmony with himself." Your happiness should not depend on constantly pleasing others or sacrificing your peace to meet their demands. Saying no is not selfish. It is an act of self-preservation. It is the understanding that your peace and well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. So, how do you reclaim your happiness and peace of mind? It all starts by prioritizing yourself. Begin by identifying the things that bring you joy, purpose, and meaning in life. It could be spending time on your personal goals, engaging in activities that nourish your soul, or simply taking time to rest and recharge. Don't be afraid to say no to requests or situations that leave you feeling drained, taken for granted, or overwhelmed. True love for others doesn't come from sacrificing your own well-being. It comes from maintaining balance and health, so that you can show up for those you care about without losing yourself in the process. Instead of living a life that revolves around meeting the needs and expectations of others, focus on creating a life that reflects your own values, dreams, and desires. This is your one and only life to live. You deserve to live it with purpose, peace, and fulfillment. Your happiness is just as important as anyone else's, and protecting it is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can ever perform. Your peace is priceless. Guard it fiercely. Now, take a moment and imagine this. What if tomorrow you woke up free from the weight of unnecessary obligations and expectations? Picture a life where you prioritize yourself. Imagine surrounding yourself with people who genuinely uplift and support you, and pursuing goals that truly align with your authentic self. That is the life you deserve, a life of purpose, balance, and peace. Your happiness matters. It's time to take control of your life, one decision at a time. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on mastering your mind and your life. And here's your challenge. Drop a comment below with one thing you're ready to reclaim starting today. Let's take back control, one decision at a time.